Greetings. This is Imaduck playing Imaduck from the Something Awful forums, playing some 5 cent, 10 cent, no limit cash, Texas Hold'em, of course, on the lovely Juicy Stakes. So Juicy Stakes, if you don't know, was formerly Cake Poker, but it's Juicy Stakes in the U.S. And for those of us who aren't lucky enough to live in Nevada or one of the other lovely states that have once again legalized online poker, those of us in the U.S. instead are regaled to not as nice sites like Juicy Stakes. But Juicy Stakes isn't bad. I'm here trying to run up my bankroll. Basically, I could have... No, I shouldn't have threw that there. Basically, I started, I've played cash games for a long time. About 6 months ago, I really started working on my game and playing online and just trying to see what I could do to run it up and run up my bankroll and all that good stuff. And so here I am today playing online, playing some poker. Basically, I did pretty well with 2 cent, 4 cent, ran myself up pretty well, and now I'm here playing 5 cents, 10 cents. I haven't done as well with that. In fact, I'm down a little bit after a couple thousand hands, but I'm just trying to work my way up and show you guys what I'm doing and hopefully get some advice from you guys, because I know my game has lots of leaks. I know I have a lot to learn and all that, so I thought it might be entertaining to watch someone, instead of watching pros like Jay Carver run it up, watch the average guy like me try and run it up, or basically just, throw money away. Whatever, what have you. So what I'd like this to be, just comment about anything, watch it, tell me if you like it, tell me if you're enjoying it, tell me if you have any suggestions about the technical aspects of it, or most importantly, tell me about how you think I'm playing. Discuss interesting hands, tell me what I'm sucking at, telling me what I'm doing that's really interesting or awesome or whatever, or la-di-da-di-da, and that would all be great. But basically, I just want this, I don't know, I'm just seeing if people would be interested in something like this, so if you are, please let me know. You can leave comments here on the video, or you can comment in the forums, any of the poker forums on Something Awful, I read them all, or you can send me a PM if you want, a private message, or whatever, however you know how to contact me. Anyway, we are, like I said, playing some 5 cent, 10 cent cash. As far as how I play, my play style, well, first of all, notice that I am using a HUD. I'm using Poker Tracker to keep statistics on my players and myself, or on my opponents and myself. We're obviously going to go ahead and 3-bet here against the post. We're on the button, so good to be in position. We've got a solid hand. No reason not to raise it up. I probably could have made it 40 cents. This is interesting. I think it's still worth a call here, but he's kind of short. But it's 65 cents to win $1.60. I think we can call here. That's a decent flop for us, really. I'm kidding, of course. Hitting the trips is pretty nice. We feel pretty good about this here. And I feel like it can look pretty bluffy if I just throw out a bet here. Because if he doesn't have anything, it's unlikely we're going to get much more money out of him anyway. And we're just going to try to be very aggressive. So I tend to play, just very loose, very aggressive. My default is to kind of play very small ball, where my pre-flop raises tend to be pretty small, at least when I start and I first sit down at a table. I kind of default to that because I'm really trying to play a lot more post-flop poker, and I'm really trying to get people in the pot and trying to use positional advantage and my, hopefully, skill edge, post-flop skill edge, to really be my money maker. So that's what we're trying to do. I do play a lot of hands and open a lot, although I'm not quite this wide as the... so if you don't know these stats, VPIP, percentage of hands I play, the PR is the pre-flop raise, so the percentage of hands I raise pre-flop, and yeah, this would be way too loose. I don't play quite this loose, usually. But I do tend to play a bit loose and play a lot of speculative hands and all that, and try to use that to my advantage. Try to play very aggressively post-flop, that sort of thing. Here, well, we'll see what these guys do, but I'm probably just going to let this hand go. Just a little too weak to want to play this out of position, especially against such a tight player. We can be dominated a lot. and that would be problematic. So speaking of the table, so I just sat down at the table. I've got, about 16 hands in. I'm actually already up about half a buy-in. There was like an all-in earlier where I had ace 10 against a short stack, or sorry, I had 10-10, so pocket tens against a short stack with ace 10, and I got them to go all in pre-flop, and, of course, destroyed them. Money, money, money. So that was pretty nice. And then I've won a few other little pots here and there. So we're actually up a good bit up a nice amount for this session. Of course, pocket pair playing here. But I've only played for about 17 hands here, so I know these two players, I guess. This guy is pretty tight and does not 3-bet very much, which is worth noting. Here we're going to go ahead and we can call a street here, I think. I think that's fine. And now we feel a little better. That's a decent turn card for us. If he bets again, I think we do have to call, and then we're going to decide on the river. But I don't think there's any reason to think we don't have the best hand here. And so he checks here. I think we've got the best hand most of the time. He could have a 2 or 4, but I think it's unlikely, although I don't know anything about this player. We've only seen 3 hands with him. But I think it's really just best to check here. I don't know that he's going to call with a 2 or 4. I think we just have to check it down. And I expect most of the time to win that hand, like we did there. He was on a draw there or whatever. But I think that's about the way you want to play that hand. Although, again, tell me in comments, how would you play that hand? Would you have done that differently? Would you have bet that river? Who knows? Obviously there, with his present hand, we wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. We, maybe could have raised on one of the earlier streets, but I don't think that's the default play. This is a decent flop for us. So I watch a lot of Jay Carver and Daniel Negreanu. I've read a lot of Daniel stuff and all that, and especially with like Jason Somerville, I kind of subscribe to have a very, very high c-bet percentage kind of play. And I think the reason, part of the reason you want to do that, you should have a relatively high one. Everyone agrees, anytime you have this dry flop, and especially if it's a semi-bluff and you're in position, of course, you always c-bet and all that. But Jason, I've also noticed he c-bets a lot more, even on flops where you have, say, something like a medium pair when there's some high cards on the board. Jason's still c-betting those, where a lot of other people say, well, you just check it because you've got some equity in that hand and all that. But as Jason points out, that does turn your hand pretty much face up. And so in a lot of play, I think that can give away a little bit too much about your hand. So I tend to go more with this. I'm c-betting a lot of flops. Although, again, these statistics are not averaged over all my play. These statistics are only for the last 21 hands here. So I do not c-bet a true 100% of the flops, for sure. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what I'm talking about in a bit here. I think I'll just let the King 10 go. I may be a little tighter than I should be with hands like King 10, but I really just don't feel good playing that out of position against the guy who's only got a pre-flop raise of 18% in middle position. It just seems like we're dominated a lot there. We're not going to feel too good about, a decent amount of flops. I'm just not too excited about playing King 10 like that. And I think we're just going to have to give up most of the time on the flop there, or, get dominated and then lose all our chips. So there's that. So I'm also opening a ton on the button here. J6 offsuit, yes, I will open that, but I will fold to anyone else is open for that. So like I said, we know these two players are both pretty tight. And like I said, this guy especially is not 3-betting much, so we can kind of try to pick on them whenever they're in the blinds. This other guy to the left of us is also looking to be pretty tight, and that's kind of ideal, right? You want the loose guys to your right here, and then the tight guys to your left so you can steal from them as much as possible. And in fact, these guys are so tight, fuck it, I'll open 7-4 suited. What are you going to do about it? I'll have position on you. Yeah, that's fine. Ain't no problem. I'll just flop 2 pair. That's cool. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to say about that? You got a problem with this? Of course, we got to be a little wary because you could have a pocket pair. I'm actually fine with check deciding here. Because I think pocket pairs make up a big part of his range, and I don't really want to inflate the pot too much here. But maybe people would say instead you should be betting for protection there. I don't know. But I would say ace-high hands make up a big part of his range. Now when he checks it back there, I think he's got an ace-high hand. And so now I'm going to bet again for value. I doubt he has a pocket pair there. I think if he had any pocket pair that was better than fours, he would have come at us on the river there. But I'm wrong, apparently. So there's that. I'm kind of surprised he didn't bet that river there. But I mean, I guess with the pair that low, and the 9 and the 10 are a little scary. I don't know. It's still a little surprising to me that he didn't bet that river there. But I don't think that was a bad bet. I think that was all right. Suited connector, a very nice suited connector. So I'm usually opening for 2x most positions. Under the gun, I'll open for 2.5 most of the time, and I'll open 2.5 from small blinds as well. If the table is very loose, then I'll tighten up my range a lot and make my bets bigger to try and take advantage of that. Alright, we'll go ahead and bet this here. It's a pretty decent flop for us, although we're probably not going to get much value out of it. So you know, it's important to adjust your play style based on what the rest of the table is doing. You know, the cliche is, you know, the rest of the table is loose, you want to be tight. If the rest of the table is tight, you want to be loose. But you also want to change, you know, your bet sizing and the way you react pre and post flop based on all that. Obviously, look at my sage wisdom here. So basically, yeah, here, I mean, you can see this table's starting to look fairly tight. The question is, do I raise here? I don't think I do. I think I just call here. This is close, though. This is part of, like, one of my holes in my pre-flop play where I see the argument for raising there, but I kind of feel like this guy is right in the range of being tight enough that, again, we're kind of afraid of being dominated here. And both of these guys are very tight, so it's like if I raise, most of the hands that I have dominated are going to fold, and most of the hands that dominate me are going to call, and then I'm going to end up getting a lot of chips in a situation where I'm dominated. Here, I think we just have to let this hand go, which is the other argument for not raising. Well, you know, whatever, is we're a bit out of position. And the thing is, with these guys being so tight, they're probably both confident enough in their hands to call a raise. You know, I will open most things on the button. If this guy was... well, their steal full percentages are pretty high. It's almost... In fact, it probably is profitable to just raise... open with any 2 cards against these players here. If these steal full percentages are to be believed, you could work out the math and show that, yeah, it actually makes sense most of the time to open with any 2 cards, including deuce 7, against these guys, which is something that people don't always recognize. So definitely, I mean, now if they adjust their play like they should and know that I'm very loose and then are going to start like 3-betting me to punish me a whole lot more, or opening up their range a bit to punish me a whole lot more, then yeah, they can compensate for the fact that I'm opening everything. But until they give me a reason, I'm just going to open everything from the button if these 2 guys are to the left of me here. So this steal fold is fold to late position steals. So basically, if I open from here, you know, if I open from the cutoff or the button and they fold, he's going to do it 80% of the time, and he's going to do it a whopping 88% of the time. So again, we're playing a little bit looser here because these guys are tight, so not that this is too loose. I think this is in a lot of people's range to open from middle position here. But yeah, I'm totally fine with opening that here. And we're really just going to try to beat up these blinds as much as possible when these guys are playing this tight. Now, against this 3-bet, if this 3-bet, 3% 3-bet is to be believed, which, I mean, that's over, you know, 400 hands. Yeah, we're going to believe that. He's going to have us just crushed. Not that I would call there against most players anyway, unless I knew they were just 3-betting everything. Pretty rare that I'm going to call there. Although we did have position, but that was kind of a big, largish 3-bet sizing he did there as well, right? That was over 3x. So, you know, it really wouldn't make sense for me to call that, I don't think. So this guy middle position, pre-flop raise of 9%. And we should watch also the sizing. So this guy, we saw him raise to 40 cents for middle position. It's always good to take note of that because some players will just give away information based on their pre-flop bet sizing. In theory, you should either always be betting the exact same size pre-flop. You know, I mean, you can bet it, you know, specific to positions and stuff. Hold on a second. Yeah, I will go ahead and call this guy here. Because I'm not believing whatever he's trying to sell here. I potentially could have raised him pre-flop. This is a pretty strong hand. I think now, most of the time, if I just bet here, take it down, potentially could just check, but that gives me a little bit of protection. And if he bets on the river, I'm going to have to call him anyway. I don't know. But if he bets on the river, we're probably, well, we have to assume he's bluffing anyway. Oh, all right. Sorry, I didn't have time to explain all that. I'm getting used to this casting poker I found, which I've only done a few trial casts. This is my first one I've actually posted. Casting poker I've found is a lot tougher than casting. I used to cast Magic the Gathering a lot, and I guess I was just more comfortable with Magic, and a lot more of the decisions were automatic. Obviously, we're just folding here. There's nothing we can do. Whereas here, I don't. With poker, I feel like I'm thinking a lot more, and it's very tough to talk and have to think that much. I'm no Jay Carver, where he's just like clicking this stuff in the background without even thinking, because he's seen, 10 million poker hands or whatever. I'm pretty far behind him on that. So anywho, so I'm sorry if it sounds a little rough. I'm working on that. You guys let me know if you feel like I'm too boring or too jumbled, or I'm saying too much, which I know I do. I'm working on it, but yeah, there we go. There we go again. So yeah, just playing some poker here, drinking myself some North by Northwest Hefeweizen, so that'll give away my location if you don't know. Oh look, it says there. But yeah, North by Northwest Hefeweizen. I got a keg of that sitting at my place. It's tasty stuff if you're in Austin. Good food there too, good beer. Anywho, so there's my beer advertisement of the day. I was thinking of doing poker beer pairings with every single one of my videos here, so that's my pairing for today. Alright. Yep. Not opening 8-10 from under the gun. Jay Carver might, but that is because he is he has a pretty huge post-flop edge, so he can do those sorts of silly things. No, I don't think he'd open that under the gun most of the time. Although maybe with a table this with loose, or tight. Which some of these guys, I mean, this guy is not that tight. He's he's got pretty close to ideal tag stats, so tight, but not over the top. But like these guys, especially this guy, I mean, the 15-10, I think, is potentially too tight to be like really profitable. And in fact, I could go check that on one of the sites that tells you all about that stuff. If this guy actually is a profitable player, but I'm pretty sure he's not. Similarly here, this guy is the same stats. In fact, almost pretty close stats. They're not from the same spot, are they? Do we have two like bots competing against each other? I hope not. Their c-bet percentages are pretty different, although I don't. Yeah, it's not based on many observations. That's a little fishy, though, for the exact 15-10 on both of these guys, sitting next to each other with the exact same 3-bet percentage and similar aggression frequencies and steal fold. That is kind of fishy. I don't know how prevalent botting is on these sites. And I should pay attention to this hand more, because this looks like an interesting hand. But I've kind of missed the action here, so I'll go back to it after this. Anyway. Boromir, 23, from Miami, is going to fold / sit out, whatever, timeout. Good move, Boromir. Played it like a pro. So what did that hand? How'd that hand go? This guy whose name I'm not even going to try to Karureskuru, which is in Grosseto. J2 is an awful hand, but I feel like I can open it here because these guys are this tight. Yeah, it's kind of borderline here. I'm not going to open this every time, but you know, as part of flexing my range and mixing it up a bit, I'll play it here. So anyway, this guy, he opened from, oh well, we're immediately punished. Yeah. For a 5x 3-bet, no, just throwing that away. I should be a little more aware of my timing too. That is one hole in my game, is sometimes I get a little anxious, especially if I'm multi-tabling, and like I think I give away a lot of timing tells and stuff. Gee. Yeah, I mean, these guys are making some huge 3-bets here. I will give them that. We might have to be a little careful if they are 3-betting a lot. I mean, I think we probably just ran into hands there, especially with a sizing as big as this guy made it. I mean, I have no doubt he had a good hand there. I'm not going to try anything funny with the 2-8 offsuit. So far not a super interesting session here, at least from our end. What happened here? Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and raise this up. Again, I do the 2.5x here from the small blinds as well. Obviously, you can't ever 2x from the small blinds. It's just too good a price. If you 2x from the small blinds, basically the big blind should be opening with anything because they're getting to see a flop in position against you. For, an extra big blind to win, 4 big blinds. Yeah, there's no way that's the right play there. So this guy's, okay. I'm going to bet small here just to see what he does. And he check raises, which is interesting. I think I'm just going to call here. Only because I'm interested to see what this guy is planning. And also because that was kind of a nice river for us. Although if he bets here, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're going to call 10 cents for sure. The question is, are we going to bet here anymore? We're definitely calling that. I don't want to make a bet here. I don't know what the bet of 10 cents means. But I'm a little afraid about his 3-bet. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if I thought about it more, I could have put him on the pocket pair here. I was just a little afraid he had... For some reason, I was really afraid he had the ace there. But really, if I thought about that more, that would have made some sense. I don't know. So this is normally something I'd make a note about. I'm not making a note about it now because it's just hard to make notes while you're recording a video. But yeah, I would definitely make a note about this because some players will make these really weird min bets at random times. And I've known players who do it only in very specific situations, like they have the nut hand or they have no hand or, very, sometimes it's just like a really stupid tell that they do. And then other players I've seen that do these random min bets just do them for no reason. Or do them because they think they'll confuse their opponents, which, does confuse me a little. But, I mean, there's literally no hand, pretty much no hand in poker that I would not call there with. I mean, I guess deuce 3 or something. But, I mean, like the odds you're giving me are so good that, once again, I can't really fold. So you're not accomplishing anything. If I wanted to bet there, I would have bet there. But maybe you're confusing me enough. Oops. I don't want to change my bet sizing, just sticking with the 25 because he's been folding to 25. This guy's actually been folding to 25 so much, I'm actually kind of tempted to, even though I said min raising is bad, statistically, it's bad to min raise from the small blind, but there are some players who will just fold to that. And so if you have to risk less chips to get your opponent to fold, I'm really trying to risk the minimum possible since I am opening every single time from the small blind. Then yeah, if he's going to fold to 20 cents as often as he folds to 25 cents, I will definitely do that. So anyway, so I might try a min raise this next 1 or 2 times in blind versus blind, just to see if he'll fold to that as well. But we'll just see how it turns out here. Again, though, we're just trying to pound these guys as much as possible. They're just, playing very tight. Nothing really interesting to do. Here, we're going to do our standard C-bet this. Silver Sana from, also from Austin. I should ask him where he's from in Austin. But he's from Austin in all caps, whereas I'm from Austin in only 1 cap. Since we're out of position, I think it's fine to just let this go. I don't see any reason to go crazy here. I don't know enough about. I don't have any reads on this guy to make me do anything but fold there. I think that's fine. Get some beer here. That's good beer. I don't recommend drinking while playing, but this is only my 2nd beer of the day, right? Shouldn't be too trashed. And the other beer was like 4 hours ago, so we're all good, folks. So we have a new player sitting down to our right from Mentor. Is that like Mentor, Ohio? I used to live near Mentor. It's a place. Not a place I would ever want to live in again, but, it is a place one could live. I imagine there are multiple Mentors in the U.S., however. Dude from Austin, dude from Rio de Janeiro, which I don't understand why there are foreigners playing on juicy stakes when they have options, much better options. I don't know. Again, opening everything from the button here because these guys just don't like to call in the blinds. I mean, we can even take a look and see, this guy is calling from the small blind 10% of the time. From the big blind, it actually says 45% of the time. So that's interesting. I mean, maybe he's calling a little wide there, but he is not calling the small blind very much at all. This guy's calling small blind 21, 23%. Yeah, so I mean, if you just look at those percentages and do the math, when I'm risking 20 cents to win 15 cents, and they're folding that often, plus a lot of times I get to see a flop in position against them, it just makes it profitable to raise any hand. Now, I think you could make a debate about whether or not I should be c-betting every single time after that, like once they call me, because once they call me, they typically have me beat. And that's something I've tried to think about a bit. But I think definitely here, if I don't think these guys are going to adjust to my play, or until they do, I'm just going to keep blasting them when they're in the small blinds here. I don't think there's any reason not to. Or small blind blue guys here. I don't think there's any reason not to when I'm on the button to just always just bet every hand. And hey, sometimes deuce 7 gets there, man. I won a pot earlier today. Hit 2 pair and... Actually, no, I lost that pot. I flopped 2 pair with deuce 7, and then the board paired, and then my opponent had a higher pair. So actually, that kind of sucked. But it felt good to at least flop 2 pair with deuce 7 for the time being. The board pairing was kind of unfortunate. I think it actually paired on the river, so I was ahead. I was ahead in betting, and getting him to call on the flop and the turn. So I was playing it right, but wasn't anything I could do on the river. I think we can call here. He's c-betting most flops. So the problem is we're, probably behind here because most of his hands either have an ace or a king in it. I mean, or he's got a pocket pair. So we're not ever really ahead here. Though we could try to steal this on a later street. I don't think there's any reason. I think we're doing well enough without having to get too fancy that I'm fine with just folding right there. We should probably be bluffing at that sometimes or floating that sometimes, but, being out of position and probably having the worst hand, there's no reason to get fancy there. Just let it go. You see, too, I'm trying to, I'm really trying to raise most of the time, not trying to call too much unless I have a really, a hand I really want to play. Which, of course, is how you should be opening poker. And I imagine, so it'll be interesting to see what my audience ends up being for this video. But I imagine most of you guys are probably better players than me, and at the very least understand the basics, right? Of like, positional advantage and what sort of things you should be opening and blah, 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 blah. If people want me to talk about the basics, though, which again, I'm not the best player, but I can at least talk about what the theory is of, why is it that I'm not open limping all the time, but instead I'm whenever I open, I raise and that sort of thing. The really basic stuff, I'm totally fine with talking about that. And I would especially like to do it actually because I think a lot of YouTube videos don't cover that. Like they kind of assume you're kind of past that point or whatever. At least a lot of the free stuff. If you go to the pay sites, they'll often start you from the very bottom and work your way up. But I guess since my goal for this video is to get people to critique my play, although again I don't mind if people are watching this to try and learn something or whatever. But my goal is to get you guys to critique my play. So yeah. Then I'm hoping that you're at least around the level of me, if not better, or much, 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 much better. I also don't want to make this first video too much longer than 30 minutes. I'm certainly open to doing videos that are like an hour or so. I don't know how much you guys want to put up with me. Here, three-handed, I think it's fine to call with ace-7 just to see the flop and see what we can do. This flop is not bad for us, but we've got to worry about being dominated, so I'm not going to get too excited yet. When he checks there, we still could have trouble with this guy, but the fact that he checked there, I think we're going to go ahead and bet. Because what is he checking there with? Like, it seems like he should be, well, his c-bet percentage is 0, but we don't know. So we don't know much about him and know much about he's playing post-flop because he plays so few hands anyway. Even after 67 hands, we just don't know much about his post-flop play. So it's hard to say what he was going to do there regardless, but at that point we're kind of betting for value and maybe a little bit of protection. Because I was thinking so fast and talking, I don't think I thought about my sizing too much on the turn bet, but I think it was fine there. I think it was enough to get worst hands to call, and we weren't really worried about, I don't think anybody was ahead of us. Certainly after everybody folded, but I think, 90% of the time in that situation, we've got the best hand, so. One thing I was thinking as well, so what did JCD PFH have? It was very possible for him to have, a lot of times they'll check that back and not c-bet if that, a lot of times people won't. I would expect most people to c-bet there. So if you're not c-betting there, it's very possible you have some sort of lower pocket pair or something else like that going on, and you're just trying to see, get the showdown as cheaply as possible. So of course we want to charge those guys in order to see the showdown and all that. So I think there's definitely reasons to bet there, hoping that a hand like that will call you. And again, I just don't think that there are many better hands that wouldn't have bet by that point from either of those players. Alright, we're going to make a bet here because we're on the button. We got a couple overcards. We got things going on over here. It actually turned into a pretty good session. I actually had fairly bad session earlier today where I got coolered. I actually worked my way back up to even, so it wasn't that bad before, and then now I'm kind of ahead for the day. Sorry that there weren't any like super interesting spots here, but maybe that's a good thing because typically the leaks that are going to cost you the most money are the little things you do in just the basic hands and all that. So maybe I'm slightly my C bets are slightly too large or slightly too small, and that's costing me money or whatever, that sort of thing. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I'll have one more hand after this ace-10 hand. Of course, this ace-10 hand or the next hand could be very interesting, so it could be taking it back. Or it could just fold around to me. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please comment. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe or anything. In fact, I think I'm going to keep this video on private at first, and then if I think there's going to be wide appeal, then I'll put it out to the public and just whatever, people can go at it or whatever. Anywho, comment, tell me what you thought about the video, about the format, how you thought I played, all that kind of stuff. Here we've got an interesting spot. We don't know much about this guy. I don't think there's any problem with just flatting here. We're going to be in position. We've got a fairly strong hand, and I don't think we gain much by 3-betting there. Of course, this flop is pretty bad for us, and I think we're just going to have to give up on it because, I mean, we're almost certainly behind. I don't see any reason to stick around here. I don't want to drop another dollar. I don't think there's... I don't know. Jay Carver might stick around and try to win that pot and all that, but I am not so bold. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Please, like I said, give me some comments, give me feedback, however you want to do it. Will make me happy. And I'll try to make some more videos in the future. Hopefully it'll be a little more interesting in this, but definitely if you have suggestions you want the videos to be shorter, want the videos to be longer, want me to just shut up, want me to talk more about the hands, I could do a little video thing like Jay Carver does where he's got like a picture of himself up there. I could do that too, but I'm not nearly as pretty as Jay Carver. Whatever. But I was debating doing that. I'd have to like shave and stuff though, and that's effort I don't know if I want to put into these videos. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Again, just give me feedback on everything. I'm a big boy, I can take it, and well, most of the feedback I ever receive about anything anyway is negative, so go for it if you just want to blast into me or whatever. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have more soon. Bye.